Aloha. I wanted to do a quick video and follow up. I don't know if it's going to be quick. I always say that, but I feel like it's going to be quick, and then I start talking about all these other connections. But anyway, I wanted to jump off of the last video where I was talking a lot about the subconscious and relating it to specifically cannabis. And I was realizing the difference between the subconscious realm and the conscious realm, and how time is different in both of them. Like when you go to sleep, you can have an 8-hour dream in like 5 minutes. So this is in order to have an experience where we, for lack of a better word, have more control and more focus. We let go of some of the infinite space that we are, in order to have a slowed down experience, in order to rest. So waking up is actually resting from your subconscious realm, and going to sleep is resting for your conscious body. So your physical body is actually resting, but when you're awake, your subconscious supercomputer is resting, in a sense, because your energy is focused on whatever it is that you're creating. So this is kind of like the engine of consciousness, the relationship between the conscious realm and your subconscious reality. One thing that I said in the last video is that cannabis is like an alarm clock, in reference to how cannabis kind of, I was saying it has the same effect as an alarm clock in reference to your dreams. It's kind of cloudy, it kind of shocks you. It doesn't really shock you, but it has the same effect of cloudiness when you're waking up. Maybe when we are on a regular schedule of cannabis, more of our subconscious reality is active in our conscious reality, and we are some of the energy from that we tap into when we are asleep it blends over, but it maxes out ultimately at the vibration of the endocannabinoid system. So you, as you are, so just imagine what the endocannabinoid system does when you so-called get high. Now imagine the natural cannabinoid system without cannabinoids, like not having to get high, like natural high. That is the natural high space, is the ability to tap in to your subconscious supercomputer at will. That is natural high. When you are on a natural high, this is what love is. Love is a natural high. Relationships, like peak moments and being in the zone, these are natural highs. You are able to tap into your subconscious supercomputer, and you can activate it in your conscious realm. This is how I'm seeing this, and you can relate this with everything. Your psychedelics, your psychedelics, your cannabis, your meditation. It's not necessarily, these are all tools. It's not necessarily that you are getting something from the tool. You are actually just accessing more of yourself, and these tools allow you to access more of yourself. I'm not saying anything new here. It just feels, it's rooted deeper now because of how I'm been making a closer relationship with my dreams, and relating that to understanding and overstanding the relationship between the conscious reality and the subconscious reality. Having been in a deep relationship with my dreams, and knowing that you can contact your ancestors, you can get messages, you can learn things, you can challenge yourself, you can engage in realities that sometimes aren't needed to be taken or become lucid to take back into your conscious space. You don't need it, but you yourself still are experiencing that reality. So that infinite supercomputer that you are when you are in your dream space is actually more of who and what you are than the conscious reality. And the conscious reality, like I said in the last video, is designed to make you think that it's the only reality. This is why I just watched the movie Passengers. This is why space, the way it's projected by NASA, by the university system, by evolutionism, by the so-called powers that be, it's a giant illusion. Space itself is a giant illusion. We see the fabric, we see the darkness and the stars. We can get telescopes and get closer to seeing the stars and the so-called planets. But these are just light bodies, just like we are light bodies having an experience in the darkness of the conscious reality. Your essence, your focus, your consciousness is the light in the darkness that is you being asleep. Like zombies, waking zombies. So cannabis, what it does is it wakes you up. It wakes you up to yourself. But at a certain point, you have the ability to wake up, get higher than that in a sense. So your natural high is higher than the high that you get on cannabis. This is why cannabis is being turned into such a cultural thing now. They made you salivate for it for so long, and then now having the power to give it to you. This is a plant. This is not something that was artificially created in some lab by some asshole doctor who just wanted to get people overdosing like all those crazy ass synthetic drugs. This is an actual plant. So the tool that is the plant is designed to have you access more of yourself. The tools and the illusions that get created by the so-called powers that be are designed to separate you from yourself. Tools are the university system, the public education system, the politics, the so-called powers that be, the fiat currency system, the admiralty, maritime admiralty law, all these scientism, laws of gravity and relativity and the evolutionism and the Big Bang Theory, all this nonsense, all this military industrial complex and prison industrial complex mentality is designed to separate you, get you in the low vibrations of fear and codependency, and lock you in to the confined world, like your spirit in the conscious space is confined to your body. The reality of this material realm is it's a confine in itself for multiple souls, for multiple bodies. And in order to be God and King in this experience, which is what these so-called powers that be are trying to do, they need to dumb you down. They need to limit your potential to expand your consciousness. They need to limit your relationship with nature. They need to limit your relationship with your dream, with your subconscious realm. This is why the vibrations of music and movies and so-called education, and even your history, your culture, the beat of the drum of your culture is an actual vibration that taps into the ancestral threads of who and what you are at the essence of your subconscious supercomputer. When that reality is shut down and they say, oh, well, dreams are just nothing. Stop dreaming. Get your head out of the sky. Get back to work and take care of what's, keep your feet on the ground. That whole thing. It's all an illusion. And the biggest illusion is the way they design these computer generated images about space. As far as they can expand the illusion of space, all of your galaxies and supernovas and nebula and these star systems, all of this shit comes through a filter of giant telescopes that's through NASA or through the government of some sort. Just like the illusion of celebrityism and idol worship comes through the filter of Hollywood, comes through the filter of the music industry, comes through the filter of political structures and political systems. All of this that makes people stars in that world is the same way we worship the stars of the NASA program. Space itself, the way space has been promoted through all of your Hollywood mind control programs, is a giant illusion. And they have to up the ante. They have to up the focus along with the consciousness. So they have to sell you the artificial space with your emotional body, with drama. What do you think was happening in Passengers? Of course, they had the reproduction programming, the marriage programming, they have to bring space down to the level of your everyday reality. And that makes you lock yourself into the everyday reality of the synthetic mind control program, and also simultaneously mind controls you for the colonial universe that they describe as, that they condition you with these computer generated images. So the giant computer generated image is the globe model, and the way the planets are all of those are CGI. This is the way to, it's not so much to convince you into the globe model, it's to separate you from your infinite space, from your subconscious infinity, from your subconscious supercomputer, from your subconscious dreams. As long as you are anchoring yourself in the physical reality, in the materialistic realm, in the synthetic storylines and illusions that get promoted for you to believe as your reality, you are simultaneously separating yourself from your soul infinity, from your experience that is beyond what it is they tell you your limitations are here. So this is the way the human bridge works between the darkest of the dark and the lightest of the light, the infinite and the finite. You yourself are a manifestation of the infinite, having a finite experience. That to me, like, how I would explain that's like the most beautiful thing, how I'm feeling it right now, is to be able to tap into everything and realize that you are everything, yet still have a soul meaning and a purpose. Like, still have a finite structure, like still have the ability to be who and what you are. Like the diversity of personalities and cultures, that's a beautiful thing. It's like listening to different styles of music and loving every one of them in their own way, or having the choice to not like something else or not like somebody else. That's what makes this reality so thick. And the tools that we use are just tools to help us see more of ourselves and more of each other. So when we utilize cannabis, we have a tendency to externalize that high and never really internalize our own inner highs. We don't even know what that is, because our lives and our focus and our consciousness has been so heavily externalized with the extremes of how we understand space, the extremes of how we understand even our roots, our beginnings. If you think that you're a monkey from evolutionism, then even when you get high, you will only get as high as what the monkey evolution program allows you. So it creates limitations on your consciousness, and you can only allow yourself to get as high as they have conditioned you to be. So this is what I was saying in the last cannabis video. Cannabis as the tool, yes, it allows you to get high, but you will only max out at the ability of your consciousness. So like me 10 years ago, when I was 10 years ago, what was that? 24. So I was Was I in the military? No, I was out. So 12 years ago or 13 years ago, if I was in the if I had smoked weed in the military, I would only get high, in quotation marks, based upon the conscious level of consciousness at that I was. So I would only be able to experience as high as my consciousness would allow me to be. Now, the cannabis would allow me to get, it would given me there, but I would, you know how you can get high and just get really caught up in your emotions, or get caught up in whatever it is. Like when people get like really weird, like, yeah, you know what I mean. When people, that's because that's how they are choosing to experience that tool. They are using that tool to see more of themselves in that moment. Time is literally speeding up, just like in the dream realm when you are high, because you yourself as a supercomputer, you're no longer in the Windows 95 mode. You're getting high and you're in like the supercomputer mode, and time is still relative because your conscious body is still awake and you're still like aware of the reality, but your inner space is moving a lot quicker and engaging with your subconscious realm more so. So time seems to mold around your consciousness, just like when time flies when you're having fun, and time goes slow as shit when you're in the last 20 minutes of your job on a Friday, and it's time and you're going out that night or whatever it is. It's relative to your consciousness. And what I was thinking is that the same thing happens with the same kind of idea happens with channelers. It's a different style though. Channeling is another tool that is different than cannabis. But what it is that, see how your body shuts down? It doesn't really shut down when you get high. When you get high, something happens with your body. You're having like a low budget out of body experience. You're having like a I don't know, like a Kool-Aid out of body experience. It tastes delicious, but Kool-Aid is probably a bad example because it's bad for you. But you know what I mean. It's like the more out of body you are, the more in your subconscious you are. So ayahuasca is extreme. So this is a good one. Ayahuasca is an extreme out of body still conscious tool. So you can go to deep spaces into your subconscious on ayahuasca that you won't normally be able to tap into without it. So with cannabis, you can go into kind of deep spaces. They're still a lot deeper than your regular everyday conscious reality, but not as deep as ayahuasca. So you can see the difference in levels there. So the differences they're not necessarily relative to, they are in one sense, in the conscious sense, they're relative to the tool. But in the subconscious sense, that's still who you are. You still are the conscious being and subconscious being, just having an experience with a more intense tool. So meditation is another form of tapping into a deeper layer of the subconscious. Yoga, all of these are different styles and tools to tap into your infinite realm. From your perspective. This is why when you have dreams, you are dreaming, you are still you, but you have an infinity of experience there. And then when it gets too intense, you wake up and you're back into this realm to where things kind of mellow out. Just like when you get high, you're not high all the time. You're high for the moment that you're high. So when you're asleep, you're in your subconscious high for the amount of time that you are asleep. And when you are separated from the relationship between the conscious reality and your subconscious reality, when you are locking yourself solely into the conscious reality, you are simultaneously locking yourself out of the subconscious reality. What I was thinking about earlier was the relationship that channelers have to their channel, because this is another form of your body shutting down in some kind of way so another energy can come in. There's something different here that I've been realizing. But the same thing kind of relates to how the body's relationship, the body's relationship to those moments. So you can see the differences between cannabis and ayahuasca in relation to tapping into your subconscious infinity. So what happens when channelers go into some kind of state and then allow the channel to come through? There's something else there, and that something else is the in-between realm between what happens when people get possessed, completely possessed. When your vibrations are completely lowered down, that's when you can see like demon possessions and all that other stuff. I haven't completely understood what that is, but it has something to do with us being the bridge between the darkest of the dark and the lightest of the light. And when your vibrations are so low, lower entities can take you over in a sense. And so that's kind of like when you empty yourself out so much, then, and you buy into the separating from spirit reality, then you in some kind of way are susceptible to these entities. Maybe there's some kind of relationship or experiential journey that's going on with there. I don't know. For people who are susceptible to that stuff. But how I'm seeing it energetically is that channelers are in between that possession realm and you, and like cannabis and ayahuasca, and you naturally getting high. It's in between. It skirts in between that entity space and whatever else, and you naturally getting high. And this is obvious when you look at channelers. They say that's not them. That's not them. A lot of the times it's a completely different entity. But when you look at their body, what's happening? Their body looks like it's asleep. So it shuts down some kind of way in order to allow another vibration to come in. So they utilize meditative space or vibrations in order to allow another kind of high, another kind of energy to come through. Now that other kind of energy has some kind of relationship with the individual. If it didn't have any kind of relationship with the individual who is channeling, then they wouldn't be able to channel that space because it would be like off limits or whatever that is. So something happens there because you're always connected. You are always the manifestation of the Most High. So if you are having some kind of relationship with these entities, then I don't know, that I don't even like dealing with the channeler space anymore because it just seems like another tool. And I've noticed and I've seen firsthand from watching channelers that there's a limitation. It only goes as far as the channeler and the channel. And you yourself are your own channel. You yourself are your own. You have that relationship, that infinite relationship when you go to sleep every day. And it doesn't stop when you're awake. It's still available. You just convinced yourself, and for lack of a better word, into the conscious reality and have a different relationship with your subconscious than when you are asleep. So what I'm seeing is that relationship that individuals have chosen to have with a particular channel maxes out at some kind of like an unconditional love space, to where I've mentioned this in previous videos, but it's in a sense of that entity could be 99.99999% telling you unconditional love or sharing unconditional love energies, But that 0.00001% is unstable. And it has its own intention relative to the material realm. Because the material realm itself is unstable. This is why people can be unstable. But the agreement is when you are in your conscious and subconscious experience, any other energy that is going to go through that relation, that root, that anchor, can't fully take over. There's some kind of universal law there. I don't know what it is, but I haven't completely tapped into what this is. I'm just now observing and taking it deeper because I've spoken on channels and channelers in the past and how it relates to this experience as a whole. And it's a continual understanding. I'm still, because I don't channel. I'm just observing these relationships, these channels and channelers and what they do, and trying to understand what that is, because it's relative to who we are and what's going on here. And I want to know what that stuff is, because some of that information and some of those channels coming through, they don't vibe with me. I'm like, fuck, I don't want to listen to this shit. Like, there's something wrong. There's a limitation there. They're hiding something. And what I'm thinking is going on in that realm is that those channels are maxing out at the level of consciousness of the combined human soul. So the human experience, the consciousness as a whole. So if the consciousness as a whole is limited by the illusions of illusionists like NASA and the university system, then the channels will only be able to tell you what information is based upon the level of consciousness of the entire human collective. And they can't go any far, and that's where their limitations are. So this is why this is like the step down. This is why they can't really channel the most high essence. You will never be able to channel that space. It's too much. But you don't need to channel that space, because you are a manifestation of that, having your own soul experience. You already are that. So any other energy, not saying you are the most, I'm saying you are never disconnected from that space. So any other channels and channels that come through in between your relationship to the Most High, there's gonna be some instability there. That's what I'm seeing. That's what I focus on when I'm observing channelers and this whole new age realm, because it's largely new age, and it fits for the new age sort of mentality, because the new age mentality is unstable, and it's based upon this commercial version of your relationship to spirit. This is why you can have communities of so-called new age, so-called conscious people who have zero connection or understanding, and overstanding of what the fuck is going on with the rest of the world. And they just externalize it as some simple ass answer and say, oh, well, that's those people on their journey. That's just another form of separation. You're just creating another form of separation, calling it oneness. So on an individual basis, I kind of got off on track, but I basically said everything I wanted to say about cannabis. But what I wanted to focus on as I close it out is that what's really going on is, from how I see it, is you are your conscious reality. That is your, for a simple explanation, I guess, 1% of who you are. It's probably like 0.001%. But The remainder of you is your subconscious reality that is forever growing. It's that forever growing because you are expanding the consciousness of this experience, this physical experience. At the same time, you are expanding your soul into the relationship of the infinite space that your subconscious supercomputer is already existing as. So this is the blending of the conscious and subconscious reality that gets manipulated by mainstream religions, gets manipulated by idol worship, the university system, the CGI space, the globe model, the Big Bang Theory, and all these other distractions from your internal reality. And another way to distract you from your inner space, because that's really what's going on, is that outer space, CGI, NASA outer space, is actually the giant distraction from your inner space. And tools like ayahuasca, shrooms, San Pedro, and cannabis allow you to venture into your inner space more so from a conscious, while still having a conscious anchor, in order to help you expand both your conscious reality and your relationship to the subconscious energies that you are. That's the entire collection of every experience and energetic everything that you've ever been in allness. Your everlasting soul. It is way too fucking intense to process every single piece of energy and experience that your soul has gone through. So in order to take a break from that reality, we wake up. We have a conscious reality. And in that conscious reality, it's also cataloged as a particular experience. This body is living and will so-called die, which is really just go through another doorway, go through another birth. And your next birth will be relative to your soul's vibration and the relationship overall, your subconscious soul, your subconscious reality, and that relationship to the conscious reality that you had when you are so-called awake right now. So the more you get closer to yourself, your infinite self, is the same way of getting closer to the Most High. And all of these distractions, like the mainstream religions and the heliocentric model and the materialistic realm and worshiping all of this astrophysics and quantum physics nonsense, is just another way to slow down time. The time between you having a relationship with your subconscious reality. And since we've been here in this realm, is designed to expand your consciousness. This is why you have natural plants like shrooms and cannabis that allow you to get high. And it's not going to keep you high forever, because that's your responsibility. If you were supposed to be high forever, you would be the Most High, but that's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to be who and what you are in your own way. And we utilize these tools to get there. But once you max out the space of tapping into those tools, then it's your responsibility to go beyond that. And that beyond space means that you have to let go of some of the tools that you utilize in your conscious reality. So like for me, like when I say cannabis is kind of like an alarm clock in a sense, it jars you out of your dream realm. Letting go of consciousness, letting go of cannabis allowed me to have a deeper relationship with my dreams. Like I said before in previous videos, that's not a universal thing. But many people say the same thing. And there are always balances to nature. There's always a balance to what's going on. Somebody who's high forever, every day, all day, is definitely losing something. They are definitely missing something. It's not catastrophic, but it's very important in a particular way in reference to your purpose, your meaning, and your soul. It's kind of like it's like somebody who uses a crutch. It literally turns into a crutch after you get high enough, because you get to a point to where your consciousness reaches that space where it's asking you to say, hey, there's more here, but you have things that are weighing you down. So just the same way that the materialistic realm weighs you down from going into your relationship with your spiritual essence, the same way that you have to kind of lose friends or lose your old self, like your old self has to die in order for your new self to be birthed into the conscious reality and the subconscious experience. And as those relationships expand, the relationship between the two are the actual catalog of who and what you are. The relationship between the linear program and the infinite space. The relationship between the conscious and the subconscious reality. That is your spiritual record, in a sense, to where energetically, if you have done what it is that you need to do in this experience energetically, then you have the ability to move on. And it's not based upon your conscious understanding of things. It's based upon your entire record. It's also not based upon what other people think, obviously. It's solely about every single energy field. When you are smoking or ingesting cannabis, that is adjusting your energy field to get high in order to have an experience to raise every body of you. This is why, like every one of your bodies, this is why when everybody gets high together, everybody's like having a good time, because you are all on a higher space. The thing is, we focus, since we are so focused on the external reality and the conscious realm and the materialistic realm, we think and actually turn our focus on the tool itself, to where you will actually see people call and hear people call cannabis like Jesus and Christ and all this other stuff. It's like, how did that happen? You are externalizing yourself. It makes you feel more of who and what you are. It makes you feel more of your maximum potential of the soul expression. But it's still only a tool, and you are always going to be who and what you are. You are always dreaming when you are awake and when you're asleep. You are always conscious when you are awake and when you're asleep. The vibrations just shift every now. They just shift in a particular way. And that's the actual essence of who and what you are. This is why people can go into deep meditative spaces and get higher than the highest anything. They can do all kinds of stuff, or certain things won't have an effect on particular people who get high in other kinds of ways, because they're already high. So their kind of high is higher than like a cannabis high. So if somebody who's super duper high in like the spiritual realm gets high from smoking cannabis, then they can experience the feeling, but they're not really getting high. They're just feeling something that is not getting high, and they don't have the same kind of side effects as people that get high, like when you get the munchies and all kinds of other stuff. I mean, you can have that, but you see where I'm coming from. So let me overview what I wrote down. There's a few other things I wanted to tap on, but I think I went long enough in reference to cannabis and the subconscious and so forth. But I really wanted to focus on the supercomputer that you are, your dream space. And I'm feeling like, the reason why cannabis affects your dreams is because it's allowing you the choice to choose how high you want to get. Do you want to get high based upon the tool, or do you want to get high based upon your soul? Because the tool will allow you to get closer to experiencing the high of the soul, but it will max out at the capabilities of the tool. And it's up to you to go to push yourself further into that space naturally. So that's pretty much what I wanted to focus on with this video, was how important the subconscious reality is in reference to our conscious reality, cannabis, tools like ayahuasca, shrooms, San Pedro, and so on and so forth. And also give it like related to like the synthetic reality as it's promoted to us, because that's the idea of NASA is basically a synthetic infinity. That's what NASA is. The colonial universe is a synthetic infinity. It's computer generated. It's CGI. All of it. Your satellites, this is what they have to, in order to make themselves out to be God, they have to convince you into limiting your conscious reality and your subconscious focus based upon the limitations of this experience. So if you believe to the depths of your limitations in your waking state, you won't be able to do things like fly in your subconscious reality. Not as frequent as you might be able to. You can actually break rules when you don't believe in them in your subconscious realm if you understand the depths of the mind control program in the conscious reality. It allows you to tap into a deeper layer of your dreams, and you can access you're accessing deeper layers of yourself. So you're challenging yourself, you're getting deeper messages, you can make more communication, and all that information, all that experience is energy. You are energizing your soul record when you make those connections. Smoking cannabis allows you to do that when you're interacting with people, because you have a deeper connection with people when you are more of your infinite space. You are more happy, you're more open, you have less limitation, you have less barriers between you and other people, because you are in a higher vibration, as opposed to the conscious realm where everything is about structure and material separation. So that's what I wanted to focus on with this video, was to share how we're really just moving energy around when we engage in tools and deep meditation and stuff like this. And the energy is always centered in who and what you are, and your soul essence, your inner space. So the inner space is the natural reality, and the realm that we are convinced to limit ourselves within and be trapped within by these so-called powers that be, that mean to make themselves out to be gods and kings, have created this synthetic universe. Everything that they're telling you with that, I just watched that movie Passengers. They create when you see those space pictures, images, when you see and you dream and I can't wait till we get to travel in hibernation mode to another planet. And they even said it in that movie. They said this is a colonial They even said it on there, colonial living. So, oh yeah, like when you get to Earth 2 or whatever the hell they named it, Homestead they named it. When you get over there, you'll learn how to experience colonial living and whatever the hell that is. But they use this same terminology, and they even had it all focused on money too. That whole movie was a largely a lot of shit was this is how they expand the current reality and make you conform and give away your dreams and create and expand hopelessness, because you think 200 however many years in the future from now we are still going to be fiddling around with this caste system. There was even a caste system on the ship. The guy was a different class than the lady. It was ridiculous. But that's the design. That's the how they manipulate you into universes. Lower your vibrations, lower your energies down to where you are no longer creating or observing the organic, the natural experience. You are installing the synthetic program of the synthetic universe and calling that your experience. That's how these entities can make themselves out to be God. And on the boots on the ground, they make themselves out to be king, playing with your emotional body. They create your universe. They create your gods. They create your separation and your vibrations to make themselves out to be gods. And in your everyday eating food and water and living in shelter, your basic human needs are funneled through that same system. That makes them out to be kings. And what are you? You're just a slave, a monkey mind slave that is just floating on a turd in space named Earth that got farted out of the Big Bang, and now we have smartphones from Big Bang turd dingleberries. On that note, yeah. Thank you for joining me. Until next time, from all my relations, peace, love, and harmony.